The Christmas period is a time of the year when we overindulge in every sense of the word. We eat more food, we drink more alcohol, and we consume in general a lot more calories. But it's not like we don't know it. In fact, it's one of the periods of the year where we know we're consuming too much without typically feeling any sense of remorse. Food has and always will be a central point in our relationships with our friends and families, and the Christmas period is often one of the few times where friends and family all get together. In spite of the fact that we may not care so much about how many calories we consume in the moment, we're often left with a few excess pounds to shed when we step into the new year, and it's a struggle that a lot of people face every single year. So the question is not how much weight did I gain over Christmas, but rather how much of that weight gained is going to be fat and is going to stick around. Now the first thing that we must realize is that we way underestimate the amount of calories that we think we eat on Christmas Day. A 2014 survey showed that we think we eat anywhere between 2,500 and 2,600 calories on Christmas Day, when in reality we consume anywhere between 5 and 6,000 calories. Now, one day of gross overfeeding like that, eating 2 times the amount of calories that you need, isn't going to have any huge impact on long-term adiposity or long-term weight gain. And a 1988 paper on glycogen capacity showed that it actually takes a number of days before the carbohydrates that we eat, if we overconsume carbohydrates, to be stored as fat. In other words, it takes a number of days for de novo lipogenesis to actually start to occur if we do consume high amounts of carbohydrates. So eating a lot of calories on Christmas Day isn't going to have any massive implications. However, we must take the Christmas period for what it is, and that is multiple days of overfeeding. So we could eat anywhere from the 24th of December all the way up to the 1st of January. We could essentially overeat, and a lot of people do consume excess calories on all of those days. So the longer that you actually overeat on calories, the more likely that those calories are going to then become fat or stored as body fat, because as our glycogen capacity starts to fill up and as we start to consume enough carbohydrates where we can't actually store any more carbohydrates in our body has to tap into that process of de novo lipogenesis and start to store those excess carbohydrates as fat. And also fat that we consume through the diet, dietary fat, has to be stored as body fat, because there's no other mechanism for fat to be stored in the body. So how much weight can we actually gain from this period of overeating? Well, we're in luck. In fact, we're in luck since 1985, when Ravison and colleagues did a study on pretty much exactly this. They had a 9-day period where the subjects ate 60% extra calories than what they needed for that period of time. And what they showed was that after 9 days, they gained on average 3.2 kilos, 1.8 kilos of which, or in other words, 57%, was body fat. So this paper fits in pretty nicely with the Christmas period. We typically don't eat exactly the same amount of calories every single day. Some days will be a little bit higher, some days will be a bit lower, and everybody's going to be different. The amount of activity that you do, the amount of food that you eat, the types of food that you eat, but 60% extra calories probably sums up what most people eat for that Christmas festive period. We can roughly say that 40% of the weight that you've gained over Christmas is going to be lean body mass, and the other 60% or 57% is going to be body fat. Now that lean body mass isn't necessarily muscle, it could be, and it is predominantly water weight from that extra glycogen storage that we talked about. But then as you start to overeat for longer and longer, that percentage of lean body mass to body fat will start to decrease, and the weight that you gain will become more likely to be body fat. So don't fret, it's likely that roughly half of the weight that you gained over Christmas will stick around, whilst the other will start to dissipate over the next coming days as you start to go back to the way that you've been eating before. And how do you lose that excess body fat that you did gain over Christmas? Well, like anything else, you need to create a calorie deficit. You need to eat less food or consume less calories than you burn over a number of days, over a number of weeks, in order to get that body fat back down to where it was in the pre-Christmas period. So hopefully you didn't eat too much calories over Christmas and you didn't gain too much weight, but if you did, about half of that weight is going to be body fat, the other half is going to be excess water from the extra carbs that you ate, the extra sodium that you intook, and it really all then just comes down to how much you actually overindulged. If you only ate extra calories on Christmas Day or the day after, it's likely that you gained even less, but you could have went even crazier. You could have ate even more calories than 60% on average over the 9-day period, and you might have gained even a higher percentage of body fat in terms of the overall weight. But nevertheless, what's done is done, and it just comes back to eating the way you had before and then maintaining a calorie deficit for a period of time if you want to shed off that excess body fat. So hopefully guys, you enjoyed this video, you found it informative. If you did, please leave a comment, please leave a thumbs up. Until next time.